Ian Pickering, welcome to the Isle of Wight County Press.
Thank
You're
you.
standing in the Isle of Wight West constituency for Reform UK.
I am indeed.
The first set of questions we've got from members of the public, so County Press readers have sent these in to us. The first one is about ferries. For many years, islanders say that they're overpriced, unreliable. Nick wants to know exactly what you would do to improve cross-Solent travel.
Well, they are overpriced, they are unreliable. Reform's idea, both Sarah and I have got this. What we want to do is to separate the landing element from the sailing element. And if we've got a separate business as landing element, then they can bring other boats in, and then you've got competition. When you've got competition, we've got hopefully cheaper prices and a better service. If that doesn't work, and it's going to take a long time, they're going to have to be taken back into public ownership. It's as simple as that. We can't have all of those profits loaded and debts loaded onto those companies, profits taken out of the country. And on top of that, if they make a profit in this country, they have to pay taxes on it.
Mm-hmm. And is it realistic to obviously to want them back into public ownership is one thing, but is it realistic to actually for them to be taken back into public ownership?
This is really, it's a very long-term program. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. We might well find that the parent companies of Wight say, just get fed up with Wight. If we start taxing them and we get a bit of competition, and then they want to offload it. And then it might be a time that we can just jump in straight away and say that is the right time to buy. Okay. Time will tell.
Yeah.
We can't be certain about it, but that's what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
I think it's the only way forward.
Okay, moving on to dentistry, another big issue for islanders. People have been struggling to get appointments, whether they're young, whether they're old. And Health Watch Isle of Wight says it causes distress to many people and continues to do so. Mike wants to know what you would do about dentistry on the island.
But I was talking to my dentist the other day, and he said that 80% of children in hospital at the moment are for dental processes. This country spends £8 million a day homing, feeding illegal economic migrants. Now, if you look at £8 million a day and then look at the first year cost of equipping two dental health dentist surgeries with all the equipment that they need, and then you look at a salaried dentist, a salaried receptionist, and a salaried dental nurse, and extrapolate that over 5 years, £8 million would do two dental surgeries for 5 years.
Okay, and moving on to storm overflows, and we know sewage has been a big problem on the island as well. Cowes in particular, 5,000 hours of discharges there last year alone. Michael would like to know how you would hold Southern Water to account, and what you would do to stop sewage pollution in rivers, estuaries, and of course on seafronts.
Well, the first thing is, of course, it's a structural problem with the sewers themselves, because we're getting so much stuff down the sewer now. It's not just the toilet, it's the washing machine, the shower, the bath, the dishwasher. All of this stuff is going down an ancient system that simply cannot cope. Now, in order to replace that is going to cost millions and millions and millions of pounds. So really difficult again, but one thing I think we can do is we can look at the profits that again are going overseas instead of being reinvested into this country. I think one of the things we could do, though we've got about 20 treatment plants on the island, I think we have to have more so that we can, spread the load out a little bit and clean it and then get it back out into the water as a clean.
Yeah. And moving on to energy bills, we know they're about £400 higher than they were 3 years ago. That's despite the price cap fall due next month. What would you do to support islanders in the cost of living crisis?
Lose VAT on energy bills, lose the green levy, and increase the tax threshold to £20,000 so that they've got more money in their pocket, which will also help.
Okay, are they realistic proposals?
Yes, of course they are. I mean, we want to scrap net zero, which is going to cost this country trillions and trillions of pounds. You've got to ask yourself why. We produce 1% of global CO2. If we were to take that 1% and just go completely green tomorrow, we'd then have to sit back without a TV because we wouldn't be able to watch it because we can't generate electricity. But we'd know that China is going to, within now and the next year, going to build 80 coal-fired electricity generating stations.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stop you there. We move on to education now. We know that a lot of schools want it improved here on the island. The education outcomes want to be improved, and more support's needed for schools on the island. How would you set about doing that?
I'm an ex-teacher. I did 20 years teaching. One of the things that really needs addressing is actually teachers' conditions. We're getting average length of tenure of 5 years now for teachers. All the planning, preparation and assessment is having to be done out of school hours, otherwise they have no time to actually teach. So we need to reduce that load. I think we can have centrally produced planning and prep and centrally assess students to take some of that load away. We live in a society that can do everything by computer. It's not beyond the will of man to design something that can take the load off teachers so they can sit in front of the class and teach.
Okay, and going on to St Mary's Hospital and the struggles there with availability of beds. You know, got the extra pressures as well in the winter and summer months, and of course you've got the mainland to factor in and the mainland factor. How would you support and improve NHS hospital care on the island?
We've got to cut wasteful management. We've got to cut wasteful spending. A couple of things that I've heard very recently: to change a light bulb in a hospital costs 28 quid. A pack of paracetamol costs 8. We can source stuff a lot cheaper than that, and that will cut the cost to the hospital. We don't need all that management that are not providing clinical results. So we cut the management, look at the costs, pare it down. We spend more on the National Health Service for worse outcomes than most of Europe. It can be done. We just got to actually grab it by the neck, shake it around and sort it out.
And on a more local level, we've obviously got GP surgeries. You know, some are closing on the island, and then you've got the problem of islanders not being able to secure appointments. What would you do to support GPs and make more appointments available?
Well, we've got to get more GPs over here. I live in Freshwater. There's a very, very good provision there. I've actually not had a problem getting what I need from my doctor, but I've yet to get a doctor's appointment because I haven't asked one. We do need, though, more doctors. We need to fund them so that they can have the other services that they also provide. And I think also we need to look at, it's a sort of circular thing. If a doctor comes over here and wants to go and visit the mainland for his family, everyone's family, we need to get the ferries sorted out. You know, if they want to get a house here, we need to get the right number of houses. We need to build houses. So we need to support. It's just a great big round circular thing.
Okay, and moving on to crime now. We know that ASB's stop and search, dispersal orders, Bobby's on the beat, crime levels are all key policing concerns here on the island. If you were to be elected and you were to work alongside the PCC, how would you set and achieve goals in those areas?
PCC's office, I think, got 30 people. So we can get rid of the PCC and have 30 more police officers. In 2002, when my friend started as a police officer in Newport, Ryde and Shanklin, they put out at night time on a Friday and Saturday night in each of those areas a sergeant and 4 bobbies. And then at 10 o'clock, when it all started to get a little bit, you know, more interesting, the night shift would come in, and for 3 hours they'd overlap. So that in 20 years ago, on a Friday or Saturday night, you'd have, if you total up all of those and the outlying areas and the beat bobbies, you would have potentially 40 police officers on a Friday night on duty on the front line on this island.
So you would scrap the PCC?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You go out there Saturday night now, 7 police officers covering the entire island.
Okay. These are one-word answers. Would you nationalise trains, yes or no?
Yes.
Would you push to rejoin the EU?
No.
Island or party first?
Island.
National service, yes or no?
No.
Energy, nuclear or alternative?
Nuclear.
Should 16-year-olds be allowed to vote?
No.
Is a vote for reform just a vote for Labour?
No, a vote for the Conservative Party is a vote for Labour. We're now ahead of them in the polls. We're actually going to be the opposition.
Okay, even on the island?
Oh, very definitely. Yeah, the chances of us getting a reform seat here are massive.
I know you're standing against relatively well-known names, councillors, the former MP, of course, but you're yourself a relatively new name to the scene of
Yep.
politics, and not many people know as much about you as perhaps they do them. How have you been combating that in kind of your campaign?
Well, just getting out there and talking to people, explaining who I am, why I'm doing this, letting them know what I've done in the past, what I want for this island. I've actually been coming to this island since my kids were very, very small, so 30-something years. Decided to move over here about 5 years ago, bought a caravan so we could decide where we were going to live, decided on fresh water after 5 minutes. I'm an ex-teacher, I used to own a business a long time before I taught, so I've got a feet in both in teaching and in business. As a hobbyist, I'm a avid beach and boat angler. One of the reasons I came to the island. I mean, there's a lot about me, and talking to people and letting them know is just a joy.
If you were elected as MP, what would your first 3 top priorities be?
Oh, right. Well, the first thing I would shout loud for dentists, really would, because that is something that could be put in place very, very quickly. Really making a big noise about the ferries. I think pushing this idea for separating the 2 elements could work, and it could work relatively quickly. It would need an act of parliament, but we could do it. And thereafter, that's a difficult one. Getting more people to the island is critical. That again ties in with ferries, but this island is about 1/3 tourist dependent on the tourist industry, and unless we get people over here, it doesn't look good.
Okay, and if you were elected, but the other MP in the other constituency was not Reform UK and not Sarah Morris, how would you work with them? And of course the council, which is an alliance administration.
Hand in glove. Simple as that. You can't be the MP on this island and not work with the east of the island and the council as a whole. If you think you can just walk away and do your own thing, you're in cloud cuckoo land. This is an island, this is a community, and it needs guidance from the whole of the administration.
Okay, and very finally, why should islanders trust you to be their MP?
Because I love this island. I love the people on this island. I have, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I have met some extraordinary people who, I would never ever have had the opportunity to meet in the past, and they have welcomed me and made me their friend, and this island is just everything to me now.